You know, when we talk about justice, we usually think of it as this big, abstract idea, right? An ideal. But what if we thought about it differently? What if we thought of it as a material? Something that can start out kind of crude and brittle, but can be forged into something incredibly strong. Today, we're going to explore justice not just as an idea, but as steel. So let's start with a really big question. What actually holds a society together? I mean, what stops a community from just falling apart under all the pressure of disagreements and conflict?
Well, the answer is a principle that gives us structure and strength, a lot like iron does in the physical world. You can think of it as the very backbone of our civilization, giving it the shape and the support it needs to even stand up.
But, and this is the really cool part, just like raw iron ore, this force isn't the finished product, not by a long shot. It has all this potential to be transformed into something way more resilient, more flexible, and built to last. And that brings us right to our big idea for today. Thinking of justice as the iron of society. At its most basic level, it's the essential stuff that gives our communities their structural integrity. I mean, really think about it. Without justice, our social structures would just crumble. It's the force that brings order and strength, and it prevents the kind of collapse that comes from corruption and chaos. So what does this iron actually do for us day to day? Well, for starters, it gives us a framework for fairness when we don't see eye to eye. It encourages mutual respect, creates the stability we need to just live our lives, and it lays the groundwork so we can actually work together. But maybe the most important thing it does, the absolute most crucial thing, is build trust. Because when people believe the system is basically fair, they're willing to buy in and cooperate. That trust is the glue holding the whole thing together. Okay, so we've got our basic iron structure, but that's not where the story ends. Nope. We can actually take that raw material and forge it into something way, way more powerful. So you got to ask yourself, is basic justice, our iron, really strong enough on its own? Sure, iron is strong, but it's also got some serious downsides. It can be brittle under pressure, and we all know it's prone to rust over time. And this is where you can really see the difference. Your basic justice, our iron, it's strong, but it can snap. But when you refine it, when you turn it into steel, suddenly it's not just strong, it's flexible too. It becomes adaptable, able to handle new challenges without shattering. You know, this isn't just a theory. It's something we've literally been doing throughout history. Justice isn't some fixed thing we just found one day. It's a project. From our very first laws to huge movements for civil rights and gender equality, we have been constantly refining and strengthening our idea of justice. So what's the magic ingredient? What do we add to that iron of justice to kick off this transformation? Well, the answer is simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Equality. That's it. Equality is the secret sauce. It's the alloy that, when you mix it in with justice, creates a society that's just so much stronger. It gets rid of that brittleness and adds resilience to the entire structure. So the recipe is pretty straightforward. You start with that foundational justice, the iron. Then you add the alloy. Real equality for everyone in that society. And what do you get? A truly resilient community. You get the societal version of steel. And look, this isn't just a nice idea. It has real-world consequences. Societies with a ton of inequality, they're weaker, they're brittle, full of internal cracks. But the ones that really work towards equality alongside justice, they are fundamentally more stable and much more robust. All right, there's one last piece to this puzzle, the element that purifies the steel, that makes it even stronger and guarantees its integrity. And that element is truth. Think about the job they both do. Truth's job is to obliterate falsehoods, right? To get rid of the deceptions and lies that break our trust. Well, justice does the exact same thing, but for weakness. It works to correct the inequalities that create those fractures in society. And what's really cool is how they feed each other. It creates this amazing positive loop. Truth shines a light on an injustice. Justice then steps in to act on that truth and make a correction. This, in turn, makes the whole social structure stronger, which builds even more trust in the system. See? Each step just makes the next one stronger. So after all of this, what's the one big thing to remember? It's that building a just society isn't about getting to some perfect finish line. It's about being in the workshop, constantly working on it. It's so important to remember this. Justice isn't a destination we finally arrive at. It is the continuous work of forging. It's taking the iron that we have and constantly refining it,
strengthening it and making it better for whatever challenges are coming next.
And in the end, that's what it comes down to. This constant effort, this ongoing refinement, that's what allows us to build the stronger, more equitable, more resilient communities that future generations really deserve. And that leaves all of us with one last, really important question to think about. When you look at the world right now, with all its challenges and all of its potential, what is it going to take from you, from me, from all of us, to forge the justice of tomorrow?